Who is Meera Sachdeva, one of four Indian Americans President Biden pardoned in December 2024? A federal judge in 2012 sentenced India born Dr. Sachdeva to 20 years in prison. He ordered her to repay nearly $8.2 million for frauding Medicare at a former Mississippi cancer center founded and run by her. Now she has been pardoned by President Biden. United States District Judge Daniel P. Jordan III said he was appalled at how Dr. Meera Sachdeva treated dozens of patients at vulnerable times in their lives. Syringes were reused, and different patients' chemotherapy drugs were drawn from the same bag, diluting them to unsafe levels at Rose Cancer Center in the small, majority black town of Summit, Mississippi. But Judge Jordan said prosecutors were unable to prove drugs were watered down as they originally believed. However, Sachdeva did collect billings from American patients as she wasn't even in Mississippi and lived the high life in India. It's a very small thing to send this woman to jail for the next 20 years when you compare it to the damage she has done, Judge Jordan said from the bench. Sachdeva, 50 years old in 2012, declined to speak in court. Wearing an orange prison jumpsuit and shackled around her waist and ankles, she showed little emotion. She never turned to look at several former patients or their families who were in the courtroom. Sachdeva founded Rose Cancer Center in Summit in 2005. She pled guilty to one count of healthcare fraud and two counts of making false statements. Prosecutors said she submitted claims for chemotherapy services given while she was out of the country, which is prohibited by law. Jordan also sentenced two others in the case, showing Sachdeva's manipulation of her own staff. The clinic's office manager, Brittany McCoskey, age 26 of Monticello, was sentenced to 13 months in prison and ordered to pay over $55,000 in restitution. She previously pled guilty to making false statements. McCoskey admitted she knew about a bone marrow biopsy done by a phlebotomist whose job is collecting blood from small veins. That biopsy should have been done by a skilled doctor. McCoskey said she knew it was wrong, but didn't report it to the authorities because she was afraid of losing her job. Prosecutors said McCoskey went further and blocked nurses from calling ambulances for patients who needed emergency care. She also sent away a technician who went to the clinic to repair an important piece of medical equipment needed for patients. She also falsified records. I know what I did was wrong, and if I could change all of this, I would, McCoskey said as she sobbed in the courtroom. But what paycheck is worth enabling the death of your own community? Judge Jordan told McCoskey, I'm not persuaded by the fact that somebody told me to do it. Monica Weeks, age 40 of Madison, handled the clinic's billing from her Ridgeland, Mississippi firm, Medical Billing Group. She has since moved to Madison, Mississippi, and still handles medical billing. Judge Jordan sentenced Weeks to 3 months house arrest, 3 years probation, and ordered her to help pay nearly $20,000 in restitution. She pled guilty to conspiracy. She promised nothing like she did would ever happen again. Attorneys said dozens of people submitted letters of support for Weeks, ostensibly her former clients. Some of the letters said she did nothing wrong, Jordan said. I disagree with that. The judge said although Weeks voluntarily contacted authorities when she suspected wrongdoing at the clinic, she was also involved in more than $19,000 of fraudulent billing. Relatives of two former Rose Cancer Clinic patients testified. Rosetta Chairs of Louisiana said her older sister, Gloria Chairs, was treated at the center despite being wrongly diagnosed with cancer. Rosetta Chairs said she believed the treatments contributed to her sister's early death at the age of 49. Ernest Whittington, a Baptist minister from Liberty, Mississippi, said his wife of 61 years, Betty, survived breast cancer but later developed bone cancer and was treated at Rose Cancer Clinic. He said she grew extremely ill while being treated at the clinic, and he believes it was because of the medicine she was given there. She died in August 2011. She was my helpmate all those years, Whittington said. I lost my right arm when I lost her. Civil lawsuits were also filed against Sachdeva in state court. The Mississippi Health Department closed Rose Cancer Clinic in July 2011 after 6 years of unsafe infection control practices, after 11 patients were hospitalized with the same bacterial infection. This scare led officials to test nearly 300 cancer patients for infections such as HIV, which may have come from dirty needles. Mississippi health officials said none of the nearly 300 cancer patients they tested from the defunct clinic contracted viral blood infections such as HIV. The Mississippi Health Department closed the Rose Cancer Center in Summit, indicating the importance of reporting healthcare fraud and malfeasance to state agencies because of unsafe infection control practices. Dr. Meera Sachdeva was the clinic's founder, and she was indicted on federal charges, including participating in a multi-million-dollar fraud. Sachdeva, Brittany McCoskey, and Monica Weeks were charged with conspiracy, fraud, and witness tampering. They all pled not guilty. Authorities said the clinic made millions of dollars while diluting drugs and billing Medicaid, Medicare, and insurance companies for more chemotherapy than patients received. Medicaid remains the largest fraudulent scheme in America's history, and Medicaid fraud one of the largest frauds this country has ever seen. The clinic also used old syringes on multiple patients while billing for new syringes. Sachdeva established the clinic in South Mississippi, preying on poor whites and poor blacks, and billed Medicaid and Medicare for about $15.1 million during the alleged scheme. Is that money, much of which has never been recovered, the reason for her December 2024 pardon by President Joe Biden? Or is it the fact that Meera is an example of the H-1B visa process in action, as well as the naturalized citizen from India process in action? Sachdeva is a naturalized citizen from India, and she was held without bond because she was considered a flight risk due to her large network in India. Prosecutors said she had considerable assets, including bank accounts in India, despite the seizure of about $6 million. Various Indian newspapers such as The Hindu, Times of India, and India West ran with joyous headlines that Biden pardoned Indian Americans for fraud just this week.